Welcome to this explainer on how Cursor built Composer. Today, we're unpacking the hidden infrastructure challenges of training an AI coding agent that is both lightning fast and deeply capable. We're going to break down the exact architecture, the reinforcement learning loops, and the vast network of virtual machines that literally make this whole tool possible. It's a fascinating look under the hood of modern AI engineering, so let's just jump right in.
Section 1. The Airplane Wi-Fi Problem.
Okay, so right now, coding agents largely fall into two extremely frustrating buckets. On one side, you've got models that are blindingly fast, right? They generate tokens instantly, but they're prone to making silly mistakes or just completely missing the context of your code base. And on the flip side, you have models that are undeniably smart enough to do the work, but they leave you waiting 10 to 20 minutes to complete a single task. And as any developer knows, staring at a loading screen, yeah, that's the fastest way to completely lose your flow state. The source material actually uses a brilliant analogy for this: airplane Wi-Fi. Think about it. Airplane Wi-Fi technically works, sure, but it is so frustratingly slow that sometimes you kind of wish you didn't have it at all. When you're waiting 20 minutes for a coding agent to finish, you are stuck in what they call a semi-async valley of death. You can't really move on to another task, but you can't actively code either. It is literally the worst of both worlds. Section 2. Building a daily driver. So their journey actually started with their low latency tab autocomplete feature. The team started wondering, hey, could we take that exact same ultra-fast approach and apply it to a full coding agent? So they built this early internal prototype they called Cheetah Slug. Users loved the speed, but the feedback was pretty clear. It just wasn't smart enough yet for everyday use. But you know what? That exact feedback loop is what directly drove the rigorous development of the final Composer release we see today. And the result of that feedback loop was a massive efficiency leap. By combining speed and intelligence, Composer is actually about 4 times more efficient at token generation than other models sitting at a similar level of intelligence. Think about that for a second. That means it doesn't just think well. It outputs those thoughts at a pace that perfectly matches a developer's natural reading and reviewing speed. In benchmark tests, Composer outperforms the absolute best open source models available right now. It purposefully sits in this really interesting sweet spot, just slightly below the massive, heavy-duty frontier models like Sonnet 4.5 or GPT 5.1, but operating at a tiny fraction of the latency. It absolutely strikes that perfect balance between high-end intelligence and real-time speed. Section 3. How Composer actually works. So, when you submit a query, Composer doesn't just start blindly typing code out of nowhere. Instead, it autonomously pulls from a core set of tools. It can read files, edit files, execute a semantic search across your entire code base, check for linting errors, and even run shell commands right there in the terminal. And crucially, the agent figures out entirely on its own whether it needs to run these tools serially, one after the other, or fire them off in parallel to save you time. Now, to train the model to actually use these tools effectively, the researchers use a process called rollouts. Basically, they mirror the actual production environment and give the model a starting point. The model tries out different combinations of tool calls, like maybe searching first, then editing, or doing the reverse. They then score the final output. It's essentially grading the AI's homework, right? They see which approach was better and then use those exact scores to update the model's parameters. Conceptually, it's just a beautifully simple idea. You reward the good workflows and you penalize the bad ones.
Section 4. ML is an infrastructure problem.
As you might guess, though, scaling this whole thing up to thousands of GPUs and millions of tokens, yeah, that is where things get incredibly complicated. The team immediately slammed into 3 major machine learning challenges. First up, environment matching. The training ground had to perfectly mirror the real world. Second, rollout timing. I mean, one rollout might take 2 seconds, while another one that, say, installs a software package might take 2 full minutes. And finally, consistency. They had to maintain complete stability in how the tools responded, even though the training compute was incredibly bursty and demanding. But here is the massive aha moment from the engineering team. Every single one of these complex machine learning roadblocks, they were actually infrastructure problems in disguise. To solve the ML, they realized they had to completely rethink their backend architecture from the ground up. So to fix this, they designed a totally custom 3-part architecture. First, they built an inference server using Ray, which is an open source framework for scaling AI, to manage all those asynchronous tool rollouts and balance the load. Second, they have their ML stack running standard PyTorch, and that handles the heavy lifting of their really complex, multifaceted models. And finally, they have dedicated environment servers. These three distinct systems are constantly communicating with each other just to keep the training loop fast and efficient. And because they owned that entire stack, the research team was able to dive deep and build custom kernels for low-precision training. This basically shrinks the required memory footprint, which allows them to run calculations so much faster on their ML stack. And the result? A massive 3.5 times speed up on Nvidia Blackwell chips. I mean, that is a literal game changer when it comes to reducing the time it takes to iterate and train a smarter model. Now, to handle the environment side of that whole setup, Cursor orchestrated a massive fleet of hundreds of thousands of cloud virtual machines. These VMs spin up a secure sandbox that perfectly matches the exact Cursor IDE you'd have running right there on your laptop. The AI is literally practicing inside the real product, not just in some simulated vacuum.
Section 5, the RL payoff.
When you put the AI through this rigorous, perfectly mirrored training gauntlet, the results are actually incredibly surprising. The agent naturally learns these emergent, highly efficient behaviors. Early on, it would kind of just start haphazardly editing code. But over time, it learned that, hey, it's much better to actually search the codebase first and then edit. It figured out how to safely read 10 files simultaneously in parallel, just so the user feels that lightning-fast speed. And impressively, because it trained in the real environment, the model became a power user of Cursor's custom semantic search embedding model. It knows exactly how to query natural language to find the perfect file. This whole dynamic entirely changes the daily workflow for a software engineer. Because Composer is so fast and so specialized, developers are now actively choosing the slower, high-latency frontier models, like GPT 5.1, to do the heavy architectural planning and context engineering. But when it's time to actually build, to write the code, run the terminal commands, and fix the syntax, they hand that plan straight over to Composer. It truly acts as the ultimate real-time builder. Ultimately, this explainer really highlights that reinforcement learning works exceptionally well for specialized, highly complex tasks like coding, provided you have the infrastructure to support it, of course. But honestly, it leaves us with one incredibly provocative final thought. The engineering teams at Cursor are using these exact same AI tools to write the code for the next generation of AI tools. If the technology is already actively speeding up the very research and development used to build it, just how fast is that next generation going to arrive? I'll leave you to ponder that one. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.